thankful for her wavy stories. Hold on to the lifetime we won't get back. I know these rivers carry on. People tend to stick to you after time. Places tend to do the same as we do. This river carries on and on.
Hello and welcome to Kankakee Podcast, where we talk about the people and places of Kankakee County. I'm Jake LaMore, and today I am pleased to welcome two people that one of them I found out I at least met once a long time ago, and it's been a while since we've talked, but I'm pretty sure I have not, this is the first time I'm meeting his wife, Emily, but they just started a brand new business here in Kankakee, a new brewery. Kankakee has not had, as far as I know, the city of Kankakee has not had a brewery inside of it for some time. I'm not by any means an expert, and maybe they'll correct me and guide me on that, but it's exciting to welcome Matt Strysik and Emily Strysik to the podcast of Knack Brewing. Welcome to you both.
Thanks, Andy. Great
job. There we go.
Thank you.
See, I already forgot to turn your mics back on. Oh, goodness. Did I say Strysik?
You said it.
You
said it twice very well. I know there was some concern.
Yeah, there was some concern. Yeah, I always strive to say people's last names as correctly as I possibly can.
Fully.
But I truly appreciate both of you taking time out of your day to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here. Super excited.
So before we, started recording, I discovered that you and I knew each other from our younger days playing in, the local punk rock scene in Kankakee. And so you played in Pilgrims.
Yeah, I was a founding member of Pilgrims.
Okay.
Me and I'm sure you know John Gray. And all those.
Absolutely.
Guys.
John is one of the few people from the scene that I still see on a regular basis.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, and I guess carrying torches because So they're still going. So John was from Clifton,
Clifton, whichever one's further away
Clifton,
from. Is it Clifton?
Yeah.
Is Clifton the far one? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was from Clifton, so that's we would practice there. And then, it was like me, Andy Vent, John Gray, and then Josh McMaster, who's actually M's brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see it now.
Yeah.
I see
I'm
it.
a McMaster.
Okay, you're a McMaster.
Well,
so we probably did meet.
Yeah.
You probably went to the shows then.
Sometimes.
Okay. All right.
She treated their sort of extracurriculars as they did hers, kind of like, absent.
Ignored them.
Yeah. Ignored them.
Siblings.
Right. Are you younger or older than Josh?
I'm the youngest. It's Josh, then Keegan, then me.
Okay.
Yes, I'm at the bottom.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
Started from the bottom. Now you're here.
Are you from Clifton then too, Matt? Or
no,
okay.
I'm actually from. I grew up in Southern California. Moved here when I was about 13. My parents actually lived in Palos. That's where in like the South burbs for quite a while. So we were kind of anticipating moving back into that area, maybe Mokina. But my parents wanted a ton of land. They sold their house at a very good time in California. Granted, if they would have waited, they would have made even more money.
No.
But yeah, we found a place here, and they have been there ever since.
Bourbonnais.
In Bourbonnais, yeah. And now me and Em both live in Bourbonnais after doing a couple stints elsewhere.
Yeah.
Where else did you guys live?
Like
far away. Oh,
but
local.
okay.
I lived in Chicago for a year, and then we both lived in Lisle for almost a year. I can't seem to make it more than a year anywhere other than Kankakee County.
Right.
I just the 11th month comes up and I'm like, I'm sick of this. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, that's good though, because we need you. Yeah, we need you guys here, and you came back, and you're doing something incredible now.
Thanks.
So,
Trying.
What brought your family all the way from California to Illinois.
Here. Yeah,
I mean, that's quite a, was it a job or was
no,
The job
actually,
let them leave, right?
well, no, my mom's dad was sick because mostly of their family lived in the Illinois area, mostly in Cook County, like South Burbs. And my grandfather was sick, so my mom was like, "I've had enough. Let's move back. We're gonna make a ton on the house. We'll buy a house out here." So that's what happened. He ended up living for several more years. And there was something else I was going to say about this whole thing. Oh, I get that question all the time, though. It's just like, why'd you move here? It's like, well, I was 13.
Yeah.
I did, sort of.
Now I have a choice.
I didn't have a choice, and I was.
No, not at 13. It's just always interesting to hear someone that started their life, hundreds or thousands of miles away, and they wind up in this little area.
Lucky him.
Yeah. Lucky you.
Yeah,
lucky me. What a catch I am, right?
Hey, I'm thankful.
No, but I feel like we find there's been multiple times when we've been out of town somewhere and we'll meet someone like, oh yeah, I used to do this in Kankakee, or like my grandpa lives in Kankakee. So, there is kind of a lot of, as we were talking earlier, we were kind of connected in that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, just it's strange to see that, make that commonality with other people in other places.
Yeah, it really is.
For sure.
And then, Emily, how about the McMasters?
Yeah.
Where I mean, that's I feel like McMaster is a well-known name, or maybe that's just because...
That's what I thought, but it isn't.
It isn't.
It's not?
No,
maybe I just
there's
think...
not a ton of us.
Maybe I just think that because of my days in the music scene.
Older, they were everywhere.
I mean, I always think of Josh.
Right, yeah.
So.
And it's sort of a generic Irish sort of sounding name. Like
Irish,
McMaster, even though that's terrible.
Okay.
Cut that out.
I don't know about that, but...
Can you do that again?
Yeah, it was like bordering on Mario and Luigi
Super
sort of
good at
style.
impressions. That's Matt for you.
Yeah.
Irish Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
McMaster.
McMaster, a pizza
Play a lot of
pie.
Mario. No, my family, my parents moved, same thing, from south suburbs. We lived in Shabance for like a year. We literally moved to Bourbonnais when I was like a year old. So we've been here for like 30 years now. So Bourbonnais, grown here.
So your family pretty much originally comes from the south suburb, Chicago area.
We're the only ones that are like here. Some family in Peatone and stuff, but
yeah, that's not far.
No,
not far at all.
So proud to still be here. Happy to be adding to the community.
Nice.
Where does brewing come into the picture for both of you? Was it
my idea? No.
Well,
was it Matt's idea? And it's so I haven't sat down with a Brickstone at all, but I know there's a lot of breweries that have started with, it seems like, husband and wife or some type of partners in some type of romantic relationship they end up starting.
It's the husband begging the wife.
Yeah,
I'm going to say probably mostly, but here we are. So it worked.
And you're still alive, right? And we're still, we're
we didn't
living.
kill anybody in the process. We didn't poison.
We're hanging in there.
No, not that we
People aren't blind, right?
No, not that we've heard.
No,
it's been a month.
That's a good point. I forgot about that whole sort of, don't drink that. I think that's mostly a distilling thing. But
right. That's a different process.
But either or, it's still a controlled substance. It takes a lot. I mean, shoot, this has been 2.5-ish years of planning,
but you've been brewing for 12 years.
My brewing predates our relationship for sure. Granted,
it's just a year.
Was it a year?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Either way. So homebrewer. I went on a trip back in the day with a handful of friends to Colorado, and we slayed our first 14er, which was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. But now I'm addicted to it. Like, I don't do it enough, but I love it.
What's first 4?
Sorry, I just assume everyone is into like alpine and
he says that a lot.
I was there was so many. I was in my brain trying to think of so many things that could be, and I'm like,
It's like
I'll
drug
just ask
reference.
it.
What is
Well,
this?
at first I thought it was like drinking 14 beers, or like I thought maybe 14er was like a name of a brewery out in Colorado or something, like a famous brewery that maybe I didn't know about.
There might be. I mean. They really embrace the outdoor culture like across the board.
Well,
there.
you have to tell them what a 14er is.
So
yeah.
You go on to
14,000 steps?
14,000 feet,
Feet.
Above sea level, and really there's like 50 something 14ers, and then there's a lot of 13. There's like 200 or 300, maybe more 13ers, and the difference is very negligible. Like we did the tallest 14er, or second tallest in the contiguous United States, but it was a difference of like 15 feet from like the number one. So, it's kind of goofy. But so we did that, went to New Belgium out in Fort Collins, which is notably a fat tire brewer. Fat Tire, and I don't even know what else is popular by them anymore. But either way, so we ended up weaseling our way on the tour.
Is Fat Tire still a thing?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't hear about it as much.
Well, I think the thing is
or maybe it's just because there's so many beers.
That's what it is. I mean, at that time, there may have been like 1,000 to 2,000 craft brewers in the country, and now I think we've passed 9,000. And the Chicago scene, or just Illinois in general, is out of this world good. Like I used to go out west, obviously being from California, we'd go visit. I'm like, oh, the breweries out here are crazy. I love them. But now, I mean, what we have going on in Illinois and really the whole Midwest is so awesome. It's probably arguably one of the best brewing sort of states and regions in the country, in my opinion. But yeah, I guess I digress. That was kind of what started it, is going to New Belgium and then coming back, realizing that Three Floyds is about an hour away. So wrangled the troops up, went out there, went on a tour. And then I was just like, man, I could probably do this myself. People do this, right? And I actually just had a conversation with the Brewers of South Suburbia Homebrew Club yesterday. I'm doing something for them, some media thing. And we were talking about how, wow, I just totally lost my train of thought.
The Brewing Association you're part of. They were going to ask you to do they were going to ask you to do a media thing. Yeah,
so we actually had a conversation yesterday on camera about starting in homebrewing, and I kind of told a similar story, going to Three Floyds and then coming home and saying like, hey, I could do this. And then at that point, obviously, Amazon was sort of a thing, so I bought a kit, like a brewing kit, just with the vessels, and then I found a beer kit for a very popular beer. I guess it's kind of a notorious beer called Pliny the Elder that's based, it's brewed by a brewery out in California called Russian River. One of the best beers in the country at the time. So I bought that kit, got it, was like, all right, great, let's go ahead and start brewing. What I got was a hop kit. I had no idea like what the process was. So I just like was buying stuff thinking like, yeah, now I can brew. And then, doing a little bit more research and be like, oh, shoot, I don't have this. And oh, shoot, I don't have that. So it was kind of like
So you bought a hop kit, which is literally just like
seasoning, I guess you can say, is what it is.
It's just like the first ingredient, right, of
and
what
really,
you need.
It's not even like there's beers that don't have much hops at all. There's some that don't have any. They're called gruits. And really, hops are... You don't necessarily need them to make a beverage. The important thing is the I guess sugar medium that the yeast is going to ferment into an alcohol product. So I did not realize that. I was very naive.
But ambitious.
Ambitious,
yeah. That ambition will get you farther.
Yeah.
Than I feel like it'll take you.
True.
Yeah.
It might take you a heck of a lot longer, but
Yeah.
You put your mind to it.
But you put your mind to it. Because sometimes you can have all the knowledge, but you're bored.
Yeah.
So
right.
You're just like, I'm going to do something else.
Yeah, for sure.
I figured this out. Okay, whatever. I'm moving on.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and I had that moment too, where I literally, right before we moved to Lyle, I sold all my stuff and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm so depressed.
Really? Why'd you toss in the towel?
We got married. And
I'm
just joking.
Why did you do that? I'm just kidding.
Right?
Just kidding.
I was just unhappy in my career.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to do something else because at that point I was like, I just want more money. Like I want to make all this money and buy a car.
What were you doing at that point?
At that point, I was doing retail sales at the Verizon store, actually in front of Lowe's here in Bourbonnais.
Okay.
And then I actually got a promotion, I guess you could say, into the business-to-business space with Verizon Business Group, managing a territory, and I bounced around territories for a while. So yeah, that was considerably more money, but over time, really it's like, they say that it's like a 2 or 3 year career before you just get totally burnt. And I was at like year 5, just like, no, I've gone out for multiple different promotions and hadn't gotten any. So I was like, I got to figure something out. So that's when the brewery conversation started. And Em was like, no, don't even talk about it. Don't do this.
Okay.
You were very upset.
Well, you were at the time, it's like newly married, you have your conversations and you're like, okay, this is the plan for our life.
The
like
5-year plan.
And that was not in it. It was just never like something I had pictured our life becoming.
You didn't want to drain our savings and just,
not right off the bat.
Why not?
Why not?
I know. I'm like so stupid.
YOLO.
Yeah, right.
I don't think
Exactly.
anyone says that anymore.
Just ironically,
it
I
flips
think.
out. But yeah, I was just like, absolutely not. No way. But basically for 5 years after, how long have we been married? Almost 7 years. So yeah, for like 5 years, he was just like, please, like, I think I want to do this. And I was just like, no. But finally I was 8 months pregnant with my second daughter.
Perfect time to bring this up
I
again.
was going to say, that's the
Yeah.
worst time.
No, I was so tired. And he was just like, listen, and I think we could do this. And I was just like, will you shut up about it? Like, fine. Okay, let's do it.
Well, I was
Whatever.
meeting
So you
secretly-
knew she was vulnerable.
Yeah,
You
he
went in for the
totally-
kill.
Yes,
He
yeah.
totally did.
not knowingly. I guess
He
it was just
wore me down.
unintentional.
Yeah, it's fine.
You just knew she was going to give in because she was already on the second
Right.
pregnancy, and she was
Right.
just like, oh, and
Yeah,
you just knew.
pretty much.
Well, we
that-
were financially like stable.
Yeah,
too,
so
that
that,
like,
thank
helped
you to
things.
Verizon for letting me
Yes.
be financially stable.
100%.
But yeah, I was meeting secretly with our mutual
Yeah,
friend.
secretly, literally.
To like go over forecasting and number, because he's a financial analyst, so he knows way more
Oh.
about business than I
Going
do.
to the secret speakeasy.
Pretty much. Well, and I was treating it like she hated it. She found out a couple times, like, are you talking to him about that again? What are you
Stressed
doing?
me out so much.
But I was like, just think of it as like a class project. Really, I'm just like,
That
this
is
is a
what he
fictional
said.
business. I'm, just running
Trying
numbers.
to see if this is.
Yeah. It's a knowledge thing.
Yeah.
So
That's all it is, honey.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
Well,
look
that's
at
the
us
thing
now.
is if she ultimately was like, no, it's like, well, at least I kind of have a better understanding of how businesses work and,
Yeah.
what's necessary to be moderately successful, I guess you could say. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of how it started. We sort of went all over the place on
Yeah.
that question.
That's okay.
But,
At that point, though, when you're actually in that beginning process of seeing if Knack Brewing can be a thing,
Mhm.
what was your knowledge as far as brewing goes when you started that? Because at that point you had kind of thrown in the towel, right? And you were revisiting.
That was a short-lived
yeah,
throw.
the timeline,
fair.
it was about a year. And then we moved back here and bought a house because we were living in a condo and really
And-
we were on the 5th floor.
no garage, so yeah.
No garage, little
Okay.
balcony.
Really,
so,
yeah,
like,
there was nowhere
we couldn't
to
do it
brew.
anyways.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, we came back here.
Except the bathtub, but that really wasn't an
Yeah.
option
Yeah,
either.
that
No.
one grosses me out a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, landlord wasn't great, so I don't know
Yeah,
how
who
clean
knows?
it was, but
yeah.
but yeah, the timeline is I think a little botched. We moved, I threw in the towel, came back.
Picked it up again.
Well, no. Yeah, I picked it up. I picked up Homebrewing, and then I just
Yeah.
floated through this Verizon sort of money grab thing, and then decided that I hated it.
Still.
And guy gets tired of working a corporate job, decides that he wants to do something else. At that point, I mean, we were so financially vested in our sort of obligations, so it's like I can't go work at a brewery for $30K a year. Like that's not going to
No,
pay
you'd
anything.
have right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you would have to be probably a pretty knowledgeable brewer.
They
or
don't even give
No.
the.
They don't even.
I would start as like a keg washer
Yeah.
or on the bottling line or something like that. Like they probably wouldn't even let me measure, like touch the caustic or the. Well, obviously, you don't want to touch it anyways, but I probably wouldn't be able to measure it or deal with it in any capacity.
Chemicals.
So, going from a pretty high paying job to something low would just not have worked. So it's like, okay, there's no way Em is going to let me go start from the bottom and really there's no breweries around here except for Brickstone. So it'd be like, okay, you can drive up to Mokina. It's a half an hour one way a day to make $30K a year.
And how many job openings come up at Brickstone? I mean, I don't
Right.
know.
I don't
They
know.
have a small crew. I was actually over there a couple weeks ago. They were nice enough to let me use their keg washer, which was awesome.
That's very nice of
yeah.
them.
But yeah, it was like 3 guys. It was Tommy and then 2 guys. Dom, I think, is the one, and then the other guy, and then their social media coordinator, and then I think Jason, who's their business guy. It seems pretty slim and trim,
Yeah,
which is good.
I would imagine so. For all of the breweries across the country or the Midwest, I would imagine it's pretty. You're not going to walk in there and there's 20 people
Right.
filling bottles or whatever it is. You
Yeah.
know, however, running machines. I mean,
You want a machine to be doing that
right.
automatically.
It's not Miller Lite, where
Right.
you got the, that's a whole different, it's like a manufactured beer process.
Fully. It's
Yeah.
like a more national manufacturing process or even
exactly.
international in that case.
Yeah. Whereas for yourself, or any other brewery, it's a little different. But so you start building this plan with your financial friend, this secret plan.
Yeah. My secret friend.
So what were as you're starting out, what were some of the things that you were having to think about?
Oh boy.
So many.
I mean,
Well, so the big thing is a lot of people that I talk to are just like, they think that the beer brewing is like the main aspect and all that stuff. But really, we're finding that there was a lot of legal hoops to jump through. Everything's really expensive because everything's stainless steel. And fortunately, I mean, we bought all of our stuff before the tariffs and all that and made everything skyrocket. But now we're looking at expansion options, and it's like, man, we got to spend so much more money now. We should have just done it big initially, but that would require more financial risk.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, that was the big thing and I listen to a lot of industry content just of talking to brewers across the country. And one of the guys, he eloquently put it that he didn't anticipate this much paperwork having to be done. Like you've got to file, there's like 3 or 4 different tax returns that you have to file on either a monthly or quarterly basis. You have to keep tabs of every gallon or partial gallon of liquid that's transferred from your fermentation tanks to its serving tanks, which is what I was doing this morning. They want you to round to 6 decimal places. It's like, I can't measure it. So I'm hoping that they're
Testing
not
your math skills.
Yeah, I don't even know what that would be. Like, is that like a quarter of a pint? I'm not really even sure.
And what's the reason for that?
It's for the 6 decimal points.
Well, just for that whole process.
It's a controlled substance. So, post-prohibition, they were probably like, okay, let's do things different this time. You're going to have to answer to the feds, so the TTB, you're going to have to answer to the Liquor Commission, and then you have to deal with your local government, which they've been great.
They've been the easiest.
Yeah, they've been the easiest. I mean, they've been the most responsive to my inquiries, and obviously they have a lot vested in what we're doing because hopefully it's going to bring people to the community, which we have seen that has been the case, and it's awesome. Now we're just trying to find a way to incorporate more space for these people to mingle.
Yeah.
Yeah, because how big is your space now? I apologize, I have not been yet.
Don't even worry about it.
Has it been quite a month yet?
Just a month. We just hit our 4th weekend. So
was
we're
that
on
our 4th?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's what I thought it was somewhere 3 or 4-ish.
Yeah, it's not been long.
But it's small.
Yeah,
We can hold like 31 people, right?
Yeah, I don't even know.
900?
I think it's about 900 square feet with
a brewing area.
maybe. I don't know. It's small, man.
so
small.
Like we have about 30 something seats. We're waiting for the ordinance to change in Kankakee to let us have outdoor space. They kind of turned their head for the grand opening weekend where we had a food truck and we had some tables in the parking lot. But now they're like, all right, let us just like figure this out so that it's not a question anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But once that happens, we'll be able to effectively like double or triple our capacity,
Well, yeah.
at least in the summer and spring
And fall.
and fall. I mean,
We would sit outside.
do those fringe holidays even or not holidays, seasons exist? Like, what is
Right.
spring? What is fall?
Me and Matt would go to breweries, so we would just bundle up. We'd wear coats and snow boots. We've sat outside in the winter.
Well, yeah, Three Floyds was just like,
and that.
they were so bad. You go there, it'd be like 2-hour wait. You can't leave, but you can't come in. It's just like, well, it's December.
Yeah, when it started.
I guess we'll just stand outside, or we'll like pack 7 of us into one of our cars that we brought.
No, remember they used to not let you do that in the very beginning. You could not, because
Yeah.
then they changed it. They gave you a phone number, the phone number they'd reach you. But they did not do that. If you were not in line with your full party, you did not get in.
That was another thing.
It was crazy. Well,
That'll be happening soon for you guys.
oh, well.
We'll be nicer about it,
Hopefully.
though.
Yeah, we'll be a lot nicer.
And we apologize to anyone that has had any sort of issue with, we're still figuring this out. We probably should have had like an online reservation platform, but it's coming.
Who
we
wants
think.
to reserve a
I
spot
do.
for a beer?
I have a
don't
lot going on.
You come to meeting a demand and you only have so much space.
Mhm.
Well, It's really, what else are you going to do? I mean,
Yeah.
Open
And
more
we-
you're going to
days.
have a big line outside and
Right. And
Yeah.
even the line, like
It's been,
we
you
have
know-
like a 10-foot long piece of sidewalk and then you're
Yeah.
spilling out into the public sidewalk.
It's been okay, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's been okay. We've had some small times where I've had people like, we're just going to grab a quick beer because we have nowhere to
Yeah.
just go in
sit.
there. They're like,
Yeah,
and then they-
basically. But we
and they leave.
appreciate even those customers
Yeah.
because it's like,
Mhm.
at least they're coming to try it. And right now, like we said, it's only the fourth weekend. The hype is high. So a lot of people want to come try it, but it'll probably hit a, good plateau and
Mhm.
people will be able to like stay longer, try more. But
Yeah.
I think it's been pretty good so far. Not too many people have complained about the
You do see
space.
the people
It's
walk
quaint.
in and they're just like,
It's homey.
you can see their eyes just kind of go like,
Uh-oh.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe we can come back.
We've done that to so many places though, and you do come
Yeah.
back. So
True.
it's fine. We'll get there.
Right. You literally
Yes, exactly.
just opened up. But what's funny is that anyone what I'm curious, and
Yeah.
I know I'm not the only one, is I feel like a lot of people, I kept wondering, okay, when are they going to open up? Because
Oh, man.
Mm.
this social media account is a year or two old,
Mhm.
and there's been so much talk about
Yes.
Knack Brewing. And hey, did you hear about there's going to be a brewery right by the river, in
Yeah.
Kankakee, and it's just it's so exciting, And it's like, well, when are they opening up?
Yeah.
I don't know. And
Right.
so what made that process so long?
Yeah, without getting too in the weeds, it was mostly an issue of the build out and the expensive paper that was required to complete aspects of the build out, like an architect and
So you completely remodeled this.
sort of. We actually didn't do a lot of the work.
We lease, so our
Yeah,
owners
our,
did.
our landlord did all of the, because it was a full gut. So they gutted everything and then they were like, where do you want this? Where do you want this? So basically we just had them put in bathrooms, both ADA compliant, one has to have a urinal, which I thought was ridiculous, but it cut out 2 square feet. I was
Yeah.
like, we could have put a person there.
Yeah, it's
But-
true. Well, that took a while, but just as equally, we were taking our time because the original plan was Matt was supposed to keep his job while we did this. So it was like, okay, go do some construction on the weeknights, but we also have a family. It was all a balancing act for a while. And then the last bit was
The liquor
the
license.
liquor license with the state, not local. Wasn't so
the
bad.
local was still a pain because I had to have all the inspections done. Like I had to have health, fire, building,
But
electrical.
that's to be expected. I think the
Right.
state was just way hard. They were so insanely.
Their website
picky.
they're picky and they don't give you a heck of a lot of info on
No.
their website. So unless you're a lawyer, which I'm not,
No, right.
obviously. Otherwise, I probably
You're
would be
not?
still doing that. I mean, shoot.
Yeah, we wouldn't have be.
And it might not be called Knack Brewing. It might
Yeah.
be called something.
It'd probably be my last
lawyer.
name. Something
Yeah.
generic. Strysik and Yeah.
So you were still working, or maybe you still are working. No,
No.
you're finally done working your other job.
I'm finally done working. And actually, I that's what she was getting at. Is I left Verizon to go work for another company, considerably smaller company in an industry that I know nothing about, which is marketing. So I thought that I would be okay at it because I'd done sales before, because it was sales and marketing,
Sure.
digital marketing sales. Turns out I wasn't. They laid me off in December, which had never happened to me before. I was like, holy cow, this is, what do I do? What about the kids? What about this? But fortunately, I mean, that gave me a heck of a lot of more time to get stuff done at the brewery. And you talk about when are they going to open? It probably would not have been last month if I was still working my main job because, as she said, it was a couple weekday nights and then maybe a day on the weekend, partially.
So it just happened at the right time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it really did.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stressful as that was.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, it's probably important to mention where exactly Knack Brewing is located for the people that haven't been there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just cross over the river by the dam, and we're on that first four-way
Okay.
stop.
Way to be
What?
real generic.
What? There's the dam, and you go
What
across
dam,
the
though?
river.
There's the one in Moments.
There is?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's
Well, that's a woman's direction there for you. I don't know.
that's true. Maybe I should do this.
Yeah, go for it.
We're west of on Washington Street. Washington turns into McMullen for some weird reason at this little stretch of road. So we're at the intersection of Washington and Water in Kankakee. If you know where my favorite restaurant in town is, Paul's Place.
Paul's, yeah.
It's like right kitty corner across the river from us.
Right over the river by the dam.
Yeah.
Like I said.
We're just giving people a whole smorgasbord.
Over the river and through the woods.
You should
Totally
be able
thought
to
that
find
is-
Knack Brewing, we go.
I wish we were in the
We have a
woods.
big
That'd be
K
awesome.
on the side of the building.
We do.
Yeah.
Looks like a postcard.
It does.
It does. The whole, from just the pictures and everything I've seen, and
Yeah.
seeing the outside driving by there the other day, it looks great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's
you're
kind of just a
welcome.
dirty brick building now. We're hoping to power wash it
Do
at
you
some
know?
point.
Do you know what it was originally in that location?
I'm pretty sure
Like,
that it
way
was
back when.
Premier Specialties. Actually, one of our, I guess you could call him a regular, Rich Skeldon. His family or his uncle or something owned it, as it was a print shop or something, and then it turned into Cellar Graphics, which was also a print shop, and then a child. I say child because he was probably like 16. Like was
see
going
this
through that
story.
intersection and like ran his car into the side of the building or the front of the building,
Hopefully that
and
doesn't
smashed the
happen
heck
again.
out of it. And then they put up those big. That's why those big windows are there. But for a while, when we were like, "Yeah, this is our building," and then I would tell people like, "This is where it's going to be. Check it out on Google Maps." Like it would still show the like the
Rubbish.
car damage, like all broken up. People are like, "You're going to put a brewery in there? It's all broken."
Like, no, that's from like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they finally updated it, but
It takes them a while. They got a lot of updating
they
to
do.
do throughout the
That's
whole world.
true. Yeah, throughout the whole world. It's a world venture now. It's crazy.
But going back to, starting with your home brewing
Mhm.
kit, I mean, what does it really take to brew a beer?
Uh-oh.
I know that's kind of a broad question, but
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
always
waiting for its
fascinated to
run.
hear because everyone does it differently. I mean, so far, the only brewer we've had on the show is Steam Hollow.
Mhm.
And I know from probably what he told me, you're going to tell me a different story about how you do your thing, and what kind of beers are available at Knack,
Yeah.
That's true. That's something we could talk about.
Everyone's got a different process. It's an art form, really.
Yeah, and really it boils down to basically converting starches in the grain into sugars through a sort of specified regime of temperatures. Different temperatures do different things to different enzymes.
So let's go back to the very first time you.
Oh boy.
How did
It was, I guess, long story short, I guess I'll start from the end. It tasted like trash mostly.
There you go. That's all you gotta say.
But what had happened is you basically, like, home brewers will have usually a cooler. There's a couple different ways you can do extract, which is you buy the sugars that have already been, converted from starches, and then you just boil that for like an hour or something like that. It takes way less time. You need way less equipment. You don't have to do anything with water, which is pretty important in the brewing process in general. Super easy. So if anyone wants to start homebrewing, that's the way to go. I did not go that way. I always do everything the hard way for some stupid reason.
That's who he is as a person.
Yeah. So yeah, you just make the all grain version, which is like the full Monty version of brewing, is basically steeping these grains in what is typically like a converted cooler with a manifold at the bottom. So some people will use like toilet or like a flexible water hose, like it's got the braided steel on the outside.
Yeah.
They'll strip everything out of it, and then they'll basically fasten that to like a hose barb, and then it'll filter the liquid portion of your mash. I'm doing quotes in case you're not watching. And basically run that off. The grain will actually act as like a natural filter and filter out any of the husks and unsavories you don't want into the boil. So you run that off into a pot. You boil the pot for a specified amount of time, and that's when you actually add the hops. You typically have the longer you boil the hops, the more bitter they are, and the less. Obviously, it's not quite as bitter, but it gives more sort of aroma and flavor rather than bitterness. So you see a lot like hazy IPA is one of the big things now that people are all up in arms about, and
It's very popular.
Yeah, it's incredibly popular, and some people aren't even doing the bittering edition, which would be putting the hops in at the beginning of the boil. They'd only put them in at the end. They'd put in a ton of them, and then from that point, you cool the liquid down, which is called the wort, to fermentable temperature. A lot of homebrewers have a problem doing that because groundwater is only so cold, and then you do what's called knocking out into a fermenter, be it a carboy, which is a big old glass jug. a fancy metal bucket with a pressure-capable top. And that's when you put the yeast in, and then you let it sit for anywhere between, 5 to 14 days, maybe 10 days.
That's a long time.
Well, yeah, and that's just the beginning. And then you have to carbonate it by either a natural process of like a secondary fermentation in a closed environment. So basically, when you're fermenting the beer initially during that 4 to 10-day window.
Yeah, doesn't it carbonate then too?
So
it can?
You want to get rid of the CO2 that the yeast is producing at that point. So you'd put an airlock on the top. So you initially do want some oxygen in the wort for the yeast to metabolize or to help them metabolize the sugar into alcohol and carbon dioxide. But after that, you really don't. If oxygen touches your beer, it's going to make it taste really, really bad, really yucky, if you will. But yeah, what you do when you carbonate is if you do it the natural way, you put sugar into like a bottle or a keg, something without anywhere for the CO2 to escape, and then it produces the CO2 in the secondary fermentation, and then you chill it, and basically all that CO2 gets sucked into the liquid. And it really has to happen. CO2 will only be absorbed at certain temperatures, and lower the better, really. And then at that point, or even before you carbonate it, you would potentially age if you're doing a lager, which takes forever if you do it the right way. Or for an ale, ales are considerably easier to do.
And why is that?
So lagers you ferment very cold in like the 50s, and ales you ferment in like the mid 60s to low 70s. We can get in the weeds about these new strains and lactobacillus.
I don't know a ton about brewing, so this is fascinating to me. So.
I'm glad that you think it's fascinating, because a lot of people are like, okay, shut up.
Well, Matt could go, hours.
Well, there's so many. It's so, I guess from a person's perspective that is not in the brewing business, you easily forget how scientific the whole process is.
Scientific.
And so when you actually hear someone explain it, it's like, oh, that's cool. It's like anytime you get to take a tour of any type of distillery or brewery or whatever, it's just like, I think about, this is reminding me when I went to the Jack Daniel's distillery, and nice. They explain all this stuff. Obviously that's whiskey, it's not beer, but it's still a science.
Right.
It's still right. It's still a process, and there's all this science involved, and I just think that's so cool.
Yeah, and honestly, I took the bare minimum of science in all of my high school through college, and I really wish I didn't.
You want more chemistry classes.
What is Knack's knack when it comes to... Sorry, I had to.
No, I'm glad you are. People ask, like, what is... So someone the other day was like, how do you pronounce that? Is it Knack? Like, how do you not know?
You should say Knack.
Right.
Kankakee Brewery.
Yeah.
Kankakee Brewery in Kankakee.
Oh, my goodness.
We joke and we just say Knackakee now.
Knackakee.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah,
name.
that's our hashtag now. Knackakee.
Is it?
Yates came up with that.
That's a great idea.
Oh,
I like that. Knackakee.
Yeah.
That's our little hashtag.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You get T-shirts.
I should.
I would buy one.
Yeah, okay, good to know.
Just to confuse the hell.
Exactly.
Knackakee.
Yeah.
What the heck is that?
Right.
That would be a perfect marketing thing right there.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, I know some breweries they focus on certain types of beer, and there are some people listening to this that still don't know, like, okay, what does he mean? What's an IPA? Or, there's Pilsner, there's ale, there's lager, there's all these different things. So what is your specialty?
I mean, right off the bat, I'll preface with there's really only two types of beers. There's an ale and a lager, and then there's subcategories that fit within those two main sort of umbrellas, if you will. But you produce,
right? Or just
you're talking
in general.
Oh, just in general.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So like a Pilsner is a lager, for instance, an IPA is an ale, stout is an ale. Porters can either be an ale or a lager, depending on the yeast you use and the subdivision of the porter.
See, that's something I did not know.
Oh, no.
That's another thing. Like, I wasn't into history back in the day, but now like this beer history thing is pretty cool.
I would imagine.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of yellow, fizzy, beer-flavored beer, if you will. So
Beer flavored.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What is
that?
that?
Well,
that description.
you know, everything now has like a bunch of fruit in it or like lactose.
Well,
and
I
stuff
like
that.
fruity stuff.
I do
so-
too.
You know, there's a time and
I
a
like it
place.
all.
I can only have like one or two before
That's
I'm like,
not your neck.
It's not
No,
my neck. We've
lagers
not
are
done
his-
any.
Lagers are his name.
I like
He likes
I like doing lagers. They just take
so
like
long.
3 to 4 times longer than an ale. So I wish I could do more. It's in the growth plan.
He's just brewing everything by himself.
Yeah,
so.
and it's just me.
So it's just you at
Just
this
him.
point.
hmm So we do.
And you probably don't have a huge because you're
so
also
small.
brewing the beer at your location.
yeah.
then.
Yeah, everyone who comes in can see exactly where he brews, and they're all like, that's where he brews everything? Is there more downstairs? I'm like, nope, that's
The
where
cooler's
it all
downstairs.
happens.
Now, I
Yeah.
wish it wasn't in front of everyone because it just means I have to clean it more regularly. Like it's always a mess.
But that's kind of cool.
It's cool.
Though.
People like seeing
yeah.
That's cool that you can. So when you're open, and when are you? It's just the weekends right
For
now.
now, we're gonna. I think we can unveil it. I think in
Yeah.
June we're gonna start opening on
starting
Thursdays.
in June,
This might not.
Thursdays.
I'm not even sure what the release date
Yeah,
is for
right?
this
Okay.
episode. So it might
June.
be. It might be.
Good point. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, June. Yeah, Thursdays for sure. And then, we're Friday 4 to 9 and Saturdays 1 to 9. We might be changing that to 2 to 10, though, because we're finding that.
People really don't like to day drink
Some
anymore.
people, we've had some loyal customers right at 1, though, that
Yeah.
they keep coming back, and we appreciate that. But, yeah, people want to stay past 9. That's probably our biggest, like, why are you closing? It's like, well, once again, we've got a 2 and a 3-year-old.
They're all
We're
at
just
home.
trying to balance
It's
life.
just-
We're
It's
going
not
to
their
get there.
problem, though. I mean,
It's
we're the
not.
ones that decided to start a business.
Well, and we're open. We have hours, so.
That's
But
true.
yet again,
We'll get there.
it's just you guys, right? And
Just
maybe
me and
you
Matt.
got some family and friends that pitch in. But I
They
mean,
did. we've
Here
had
and there,
some-
yeah.
you know, but that's
Right now, yeah, the load is on me and Matt completely. We did just hire a couple of our friends, and
Yeah.
they're coming this weekend. Will be their first weekend there, so that should help us significantly.
Mhm.
So, hopefully we can just keep growing and opening more hours. But the other thing too is the more you open, the more beer we're going to sell. We just kind of have to find that happy balance because Matt can't be there 7 days a week. I mean,
yes.
that's just not
Yeah.
healthy. I don't want him to start hating what he loves so much,
I think, I guess to put perspective on how big we are,
Yeah.
our system, just our production system, not our fermentation tanks, is 1/10 the size of Brickstone's pub system at their restaurant.
At the
So they're
restaurant.
very tiny. And we have, I know they have at least 3 or 4 tanks there. We have 4
3, I
tanks. 2 of them I can put 2 batches in, and then the other 2 I can just do one batch into each one. So that might be a problem. I mean, it's a good problem to have, I guess. But
No, it's absolutely a good problem to have, I would say.
yeah, you just hate going somewhere and you're like, oh, they only have like 3 beers on. Okay,
Right.
well,
Yeah.
let's go.
Which we usually
Well,
have
how
for-
many do you have at this point?
We have 10.
10, yeah.
And actually,
Wow.
we
We
have,
have some on
more.
deck, yeah.
Yeah, in
That's a
case.
lot.
Yeah, actually, and that was another thing. We had to dump a fair amount of our beer initially because we
We
had
weren't
made it
supposed to be making it.
before receiving our manufacturing license. But, so we were really mad when that happened. But then I was like, okay, well, at least we know that's the last hurdle.
Yeah,
And
then we can
lesson
open.
learned.
Yeah.
And you got good practice with the system. and,
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are all the beers then? What are the? I know you
Yeah.
said you said mainly ale or no, you lagers.
So
Lagers.
You're mainly doing
we
lagers,
primarily we'll do a good mix. Right now it's more ale because I can flip them faster. They just take way less time in tanks. That's our biggest bottleneck is our tank space.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, let's
Um,
talk about those flavors though.
Yeah, so flavors, the ales are typically,
We'll talk about, I think you, if anything, should talk about our Czech taps. Because
Yeah,
that is
that's
a
right.
huge thing when you come in. People are very like,
most people
Talk
don't
about
even
that.
realize it. They
Yeah.
they don't know what the heck's going on. But we have these things called they're by a company called Luker in the Czech Republic. It's kind of a newly engineered version of the old, if you just watch like an old cartoon or movie, it'd be like a side pull. So instead of it pulling down towards you.
Down, it's a side.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it can
You
go
do see
all the
that
way.
in a lot of older
Yeah.
movies or
like tapped onto the side of a barrel. It
Yes.
opens
Right.
that way.
yeah.
So these particular taps, instead of being just regular open and close like a normal tap is, it's actually on a ball valve. So the amount that you have the I guess handle turn determines the size of the opening. So the smaller the opening, the more agitated the beer is going to be. It's going to restrict it, and then it's going to be more foamy. In addition to that, there's a screen at the end of the faucet that will kind of agitate
Filled,
those bubbles
yeah.
even further. So those things, we will always have a beer. Well,
A
as long
lager.
as it'll always be a lager. It'll
Yeah.
probably be Helles and a Pils. But we serve them in two different ways. You know how you can go and get a taster from a brewery somewhere.
Yeah.
We don't do tasters on these. We do what's called a Maliko, or it's roughly translated to milk pour. Milk, yeah. So, yeah, it basically.
Which is what?
So it's
a stein.
it's a
full of
stein,
foam.
Okay.
a 23-ounce stein,
Wow.
full entirely of foam. And then it sort of
Dang.
equalizes at like 6 ounces of actual liquid, and then the rest is foam.
And you drink the foam.
You drink the foam.
Yeah.
Imagine that makes you very burpy.
You know
No.
what? Because
No?
it's all blown out of suspension, the CO2 anyways, it's not too bad.
Oh, okay.
Um,
It's like a thicker kind of foam, pillowy.
yeah, I don't remember what the spec is, but I think it's like 4 times denser than regular
I'm gonna go
beer
down the
foam.
neck and get me a pint of foam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, honestly, like we'll tell people like we don't do tasters, but we do this, and they're like, I don't want that. Just because the American beer culture is like, I want a shaker pint all the way to the top of beer. I don't want to see no foam on that.
To clarify, those are the only 2 taps you cannot do a taster on.
Yeah, everything else
we do tasters.
for now at least
Yeah.
we'll do tasters.
But we always suggest trying it because it's a different experience and you're not going to get it anywhere around here.
I was gonna say that does
We-
definitely differentiate you from
Yeah.
Brickstone or Steam
Well,
Hollow.
we got
or...
them from the Czech Republic. Like it was
Yeah.
a special thing Matt got into a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Yeah.
yeah, something like that.
Something like that. And yeah, it's like a cool new thing you could try. And if you don't like it, then it's not that expensive.
No,
anyway,
yeah, we
so-
price it accordingly. It's not, the
Yeah.
cost of a full pour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the cost of about a taster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just something fun to try.
But yeah, we'll always have IPA on, pale.
And you mainly
Kolsch.
stick and you were bashing the fruity
Yeah.
stuff earlier. So there's
Sorry.
no really fruity flavors. It's
No,
more
well,
on
that's
the
That's the
Matt.
thing is there's a lot of these flavors that you can pull out of hops and yeast that
Right.
will emulate a particular fruit. Like I used to give my dad IPAs that I made, and he's like, "Oh, did you put orange in this?" I'm like, "No, it's the hops, man."
wow.
So
Yeah.
you're adding more calories to the beer if you're putting fruit in it. There is a time and a place. I do like them sometimes.
Summer.
But most of our stuff is incredibly drinkable. It's within like the 4 to 6% range.
Mhm.
That's
Most
not
of them
bad
are
at all.
5.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
That's not bad.
not too bad. You can
Yeah,
have.
I don't
handful of them.
I don't want to drink a 10 or a 12%.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, or even above 6 can be, 8
Yeah,
or,
they can
Right.
get
Mhm.
that'll
Yeah.
really, really knock you on your,
Well, and we're kind of older now. Like you're in your 30s, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like back in the day when I first started getting into beer in like the 2010 or whatever it was, late aughts,
Yeah.
I wanted to drink those big old barrel aged stouts or like weird concoctions, but
Mm.
now I'm like I just kind of want like 2 beers that are regular beers, and then
but tastes good.
not be full,
Yeah.
and then I'll be able to eat my food, which I have a problem with.
They go so well together,
do.
don't they?
Mhm.
And that's something I know. Obviously, there's no food right now, but you did have like the food truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did have a food truck come out for
Mhm.
your grand opening. I know I saw something the other day on, I think it was on your Instagram, about people have been asking about like parties and things like that you
Yeah.
guys are open
Yeah.
to doing parties there for them, right?
Yeah, we're starting to look into it more just because at first we're like, let's just get open and
Yeah.
figure that out. But we're not open Sundays right now, and
Mhm.
that seems to always be a big day for
Yes.
showers and all that
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's just I've been telling a lot of our customers like, please come in first.
Yeah.
Come look at the space before you're actually seriously inquiring, because we are small and most part of our seating is at the bar. So
Yes.
it's like if you're
third of
open
it
for like
is.
a very chill, like laid back type of event, we are definitely a good spot for it. But it is a small space for now.
Yeah.
So we can only do so much. But yeah, we're totally open to it. It's just if it fits, certain
Yeah.
people's needs. and
If it
stuff,
fits,
so.
they sits. You know
Yes,
what they say.
exactly. Where's
So
the cat?
What's something else that differentiates Knack from the other breweries in the area?
Honestly, I don't want to sound pretentious, but it's
You're
like
we're in a different category, than Brickstone or even Steam Hollow is a lot bigger than us. So we're
it's about 7-8 times bigger.
yeah. So exactly though. But that's what I would say is like Matt is honestly, he's researched this for so long, and he is a perfectionist. So Matt's dumped beer, which you won't find a lot of brewers that'll be like, oh, well, we'll just sell it for cheaper and that's fine.
Yeah.
But Matt just won't do that. But that's something I think a lot of people respect, is because you want that product to be good. It's so small, and all of Matt's hard work is into that beer. Like 100%.
I don't wring my shirt into the beer.
No.
my persons are not in the beer.
Yeah.
But no, I mean,
Well, I'm
yeah.
not going there then.
Well,
That's what I was looking
I'll
for.
make
That's what I was
something
hoping
special
for you,
for.
Jake.
Okay.
we'll get it like sort of my essence bottled, and we can just like do a
Yes.
pump into the.
See, I want a
the
piece
glass.
of Pilgrims in my beer. You know, I want
Perfect.
I want
We're
a
gonna have
piece
to talk
of.
to Andy Bent about that.
I'm sure Andy would be happy to,
Yeah.
contribute to this.
True.
Oh,
But no, I think the service is
Yeah.
the differentiator. Like all of our glassware is specifically designed to fit or to hold the beer that it was intended for.
Right.
We clean the hell out of our glasses. You ever go to a place and you see like bubbles on the side of the glass? That
Yes.
is a dirty
Means
glass.
it's dirty.
You won't see a shaker pint, just the standard, kind of vertical but kind of a flare.
mhm.
That doesn't do anything for your beer. All of our glassware is incredibly thought out,
Yeah.
and we do have occasionally people help us with the dishwasher, which is it's a hand dishwasher. It's very labor intensive, but I pretty much watch them like a hawk, and I'm like, do it again. Nope, not right.
Mhm.
Like when I'm on it, yeah,
Or me. I'm a good dishwasher.
you're good too.
Come on.
But y'all that are helping us, thank you for your help. You need to do a better job with the dish.
Oh, dang,
Wow.
I love you.
And
I told you he was a
There's-
perfectionist, did I not?
and just lost all your help for this
Yeah.
coming weekend.
Half of our Instagram followers.
Yeah, right.
Hey,
What a
Knack
pretentious person.
Brewing is hiring.
Yeah, right. Prepare to get overanalyzed.
Yeah.
You have to be really, really good at washing glasses.
Yeah.
Well, now people are going to come in and see like one little bubble and
Yep.
be like,
You just
"Uh-oh,
set yourself
send it back."
up.
Yeah,
It
it's
comes
like,
with a
I'm
bubble.
sorry,
I send
man.
it back.
I want a free beer.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right.
You will not get a free beer. I guarantee you drink dirty beer before.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
has. Come on.
We've all been to college.
We've
Yeah, well, yeah.
we've all
Well,
been to
or
the
not.
dives and
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Those
Yeah.
are my favorite places, honestly.
Dirty beer and all.
What else do you want people to know about Knack Brewing that we should get out there?
We're obviously in the infancy stages and we're still learning how these things work, but we're trying to implement more community involvement
Yeah.
in the form of not-for-profit donations and things of that nature, working with the Kankakee Currents to potentially have some sort of fundraising event.
Yeah, because the Riverwalk will tie very well
Yeah.
Yeah.
into
You won't be able to see it because of that pesky Canadian National, I think,
Yes.
railroad.
But-
But people will know. There could be signs or
Yeah.
something.
Mm-hmm.
and I mean hopefully the future of even that spot you're in, because from what I understand, I mean the East Riverwalk project is just one piece of the
Yeah.
Yes.
overall grand puzzle. The idea is to do that
Mm-hmm.
in as many
Right.
areas along the river in downtown Kankakee as possible in
Yeah.
the city of Kankakee. At least that's what I was told. So you know,
Fully.
the East Riverwalk is just the beginning,
Yeah.
Awesome.
and it's just gonna take a while. It's
Yeah.
gonna take a long time, but it all starts somewhere.
Yeah, and I'm excited for it. Which is something else I guess we should mention is there's actually a boat slip on our landlord's property.
Are we allowed to?
Is
do
that?
I don't-
Do you
I
even
think
know?
so.
Okay.
There's a sign there. I haven't been down there to look at it, but
all right. Well, now we're gonna be
Peeping it out.
Shoot.
We're gonna be.
don't
we're gonna-
drink and boat though.
Don't.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, but people do. We know.
Oh, yeah.
We know they do. We do all the time.
We may
all
all be
the time.
guilty of it.
What are your social handles, website, all that good stuff people can find you at? Obviously, it's more important that they go see you at
yeah,
Washington and River, or Water, excuse
Water,
me,
yeah.
Washington and
Yeah, I was
Water
gonna say.
in Kankakee.
Yeah.
You know.
We
We-
are on Instagram.
Mhm.
It's Knack Brewing Ferm, and we're also on Facebook just under Knack Brewing and Fermentations. And our website is knackbrewing.com. It's
No, it's
good
yeah,
to go. Okay.
it's not
It's
trash
live.
anymore.
kind
I
of
fixed
trash
it.
for a while, so
It was
we
very
fixed
trash.
that. Yeah, those are all the social media accounts. Give us a follow. We do some giveaways and
Oh, we're on
keep you
TikTok
posted.
too.
Oh, we're on TikTok.
We have like
on
one
TikTok.
follower. I
Believe
think.
it? No, we have 4. I believe
really?
it's
Ooh,
Knack
we're
Brewing
moving up
Firm,
there.
right? Hey,
That's a
you know,
75%.
we're over 30, so that's cool for us.
It is cool.
We'll take
Yeah.
it. And we went to the Craft Brewers Guild conference.
Illinois Craft
Yeah,
Brewers
Illinois Craft Brewers Guild, and they were like, "You need to get TikTok's where it's at now." So
Yes.
I
I'm pretty
did
sure
it.
she
I
was
don't
in
know
her
what
20s though, so
I do not agree
No?
with that statement at all. No, I think she was definitely older, but I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll figure it out. Come check us out and
Okay.
try the beers. There's lots of beers. I'd say there's something for everyone for sure. And we are
Awesome.
working on some fruity things soon too.
we
She-
are.
For you.
Emily has said it.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. A lot of people have asked.
We're doing our
so
first
it's coming.
collaboration next week, so
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
it's going to be a fruity and funky one.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on out. Come on
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
everyone.
Give us a try.
I'm excited for the first. I told my girlfriend, I was like, we got to go by there some night. So
Yeah,
Dude,
let's
totally.
do it.
yeah, we're
Come on in.
We're definitely going to. All right. So Matt and Emily Strysik, Knack Brewing, thank you both so much for being on.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
absolutely. Thanks
us.
for having us. It was a blast.
Of course.
Right on.
Well, that concludes this episode of Kankakee Podcast. I'm Jake LaMore. Thank you so much for listening. Please share this podcast with a family member, friend, or neighbor you think might enjoy learning new things about the people and places of Kankakee County. Also, a special thank you to our patrons for helping make this episode possible, including Jake Lee, Jesse Arsenal, Dave Barron, Daryl Damper, Samantha Rocknowski, Lake Iverson, Travis Garcia, Jane Bostwick, Dawn Harrison, Simon Topless, Scott Wright, Carrie O'Connell, Jamie Race, Joanne Berry, Anthony Vaselli, Eric Olson, Dan DeBoard, Jeff and Rosa Carroll, Teague Dreenan, Sandy and Steve Twait, and Rose Lucky. Now, to become a podcast patron, go to KankakeePodcast.com and click on the Patron tab. If you pledge $5 or more per month, you'll also hear your name announced on an episode of Kankakee Podcast. Now, there's also other rewards like access to extended versions of episodes, behind-the-scenes podcast episodes, podcast merch, discounts on special events. There's even an option for you and I to spend a day together at the Kankakee County Museum and so much more. Your monthly pledge is truly appreciated, and our goal right now is to reach $400 per month, which right now we're at about 60% funded. So please sign up for the patron program today at KankakeePodcast.com. Our theme song is by Lupe Carroll.